Hi everyone, Bloop the Knee Spooptano here, the internet's busiest music floating head, and it's time to count down the top 12 albums of 2024. Now I know what you may be asking, why 12? Because that's my favorite number. That's literally it. I know my schedule is actually it's non-existent, like my subscriber count. I just want to make this because I can. But before we start, here's a quick list of honorable mentions.
He's bouncing off my booty cheeks, I love the way he rides. I can hardly breathe when he's pumping deep inside. I kiss him on his neck and then he kisses on my pussy. Call him daddy while I holler, man, that boy's so damn good looking.
If there's one artist that really ruled 2024, one of the biggest contenders definitely goes to Kendrick Lamar. I really don't know how you can exist on any plane of reality without hearing a microsecond of the beef he had with Drake, followed by systematic executions of said Drake via diss track after diss track after diss track, and a national victory lap with Not Like Us. So to end the year with a surprise album drop was a welcoming surprise. I don't think I disliked any track off of this, and it's overall just a good vibe. I enjoyed tracks like Squabble Up and Reincarnated, which give heavy West Coast vibes. And then you have TV Off being like this bizarro version of Not Like Us. I just don't think it's as strong as albums like Damn and Mr. Morale, and that's perfectly fine. Kendrick can drop albums of this quality for the rest of his career, and I would be okay with it.
You make these folks think you got something to teach like you ain't lying.
Probably a hot take, but while I had a lot of fun with GNX, there were plenty of hip-hop albums that I enjoyed more, and Chromacopia being one of them. Tyler, the Creator, is up there with the biggest rappers of this generation, and this album explores some of the feelings he has with his popularity that seems to be growing no matter what. We had something similar to this with Danny Brown last year, so I wonder who's next when it comes to making a retrospective album of getting older. All of the features on this project fit appropriately with every track they're in. Even Sexy Red was good in my favorite track, Sticky.
Everyone knows I'm holy.
I may not be the biggest Black Midi listener, but I enjoyed Hellfire back in 2022. So to hear the band is taking an indefinite hiatus didn't grab my attention. Until I heard this solo project from former member Jordy Greep. I love this insane fuse of prog rock, jazz, and sometimes just a fusion of both. And it highlights what I liked about Black Midi's discography. So in a way, I'm kinda glad they're taking a break to do their own stuff because, from what I'm hearing right now, this is amazing. This album is an experience. This is definitely something that will come to mind whenever I hear rock dwellers blurt out, "There's no good music nowadays." Sorry, but you are wrong. This new album from Biba Doobie is another great indie rock album. Tracks like California, One Time, and Post are easy highlights for me, and definitely the kind of stuff to put on during a road trip. I was vaguely familiar with her album Fake It Flowers prior to listening to this, so hearing the growth in not just the lyrics, but the overall sound of Beatrice's music over a 4-year span was very interesting, and I'll definitely check out her other albums later. I actually discovered Meaningful Stone earlier this year, and what an amazing discovery, I must say. A Call from My Dream and Cobalt are fantastic listens, and this album is right up there. As for the album itself, I love it. Kim Jimin's voice is something I could fall asleep to. Just an amazing album overall. But that genre switch starting with Escape, that almost complete 180 she takes with the last two tracks, that shit blew my mind.
I'm the baddest bitch in this club. I got 7 up in my cup.
Okay, I don't know how you can't have fun with this one. No Hands feels like a natural evolution to Punk Tactics, feeling more tongue-in-cheek yet at the same time going just as hard, if not more so with tracks like Pack a Punch, the titular No Hands, Where You From, and The Baddest to name a few. If you liked Punk Tactics, then you've already listened to this. For everyone, still listen to this. Also, the deluxe edition is pretty neat. Peggy has proven time and time again that he's not only one of the most influential rappers of this generation, but also one of the most overlooked. Ever since LP, he's been on a never-ending winning streak, with his collaboration with Danny Brown Scaring the Hoes being my favorite album from 2023. I Lay Down My Life For You continues his streak of being incapable of not dropping fire, because he absolutely delivered with this. Some tracks like Sin Miedo give off Scaring the Hoe vibes, which I kinda like. The highlight on this album is definitely JPEG Ultra, and it's not just because it features Denzel Curry. Peggy drops some of my favorite bars in his career on this track, and the beat followed by the switch up near the end scratches my brain in the right way. Easily one of my favorite tracks this year. Many of these albums were an amazing first listen that I grew to love upon re-listening. This one I loved almost immediately, and my opinion on it hasn't changed one bit, and that's a good thing. Songs like No Problems, Better Than Monday, and Take Me Back, I can listen on repeat and never get sick of. This sort of nostalgic, dreamy city pop vibe is something that I like, but can get a little boring without any variety. And this album has plenty of variety. Definitely worth checking out. Now, what 2024 list would be complete without Brat? It's like the Gen 2 Snorlax of 2024. If this isn't on your list, you're just silly. Take your pick on what's your favorite Brat. The original one, the updated one, the Ultimate Edition with all of the DLC upon purchase. What more can I say? Really, what more can I say about this album that hasn't been said? 360 and 365 remind me of when you fight Cynthia in Diamond and Pearl, and then you fight her in Black and White, and then her theme is like higher pitched, yet it sounds really good. But then the 365 remix with Shy Girl is like the Black 2 and White 2 theme. That's just even more chaotic. I like that, I guess. Machine Girl is back with a new album in quite a while if you don't count the soundtrack they did for the game Neon White. I really dig the sound of MG Ultra. It's like if you mixed the ugly art with their Reporvis Fantasies EP, which is an EP I personally enjoyed for the most part. I would say it's also their most accessible album. And when I say accessible, I mean if you played this at a party, you're less likely to get ugly looks and then get knocked out versus anything from their other albums that isn't Wolf Girl. Some fans may not like how tame it sounds from their other music, but I prefer this sound over albums like U Void Synthesizer. Until I Die is a great start, and it only goes uphill with absolute bangers like New Meta Phenomenon and Sick. Grindhouse also goes hard as fuck, and Psychic Attack is an excellent closer. I don't expect to see this on anyone's favorite album list this year, but I don't care.
Rolling up a leaf cigar, sitting in the back of my car, high as I wanna be, high as
I'm a huge fan of Denzel if my previous videos didn't make it obvious enough. Melt My Eyes, See Your Future is my favorite album from 2022, and Taboo is just flat out one of my favorite rap albums, period. His flow, wordplay, and inability to miss needs to be examined, and this latest album exemplifies that. This is more straightforward than his other albums, and that's not a bad thing at all. Next to Zoo, this is definitely his most southern hip-hop sounding album yet, with an extra layer of grime to tracks like Ultra Shit and Hoodlums. While Melt My Eyes is the kind of music you put on to reflect and vibe to, this is when you need to fuck shit up. Black Flag Freestyle is easily the best track on this album, but my personal favorite underrated track is Wishless with Armani White. I really can't recommend this hard enough. Magdalena Bay has always been a group that has been consistently good with their previous projects, but Madamika really delivered something different this year. They delivered a masterpiece.
This song broke me, dude. This song is so fucking good.
The way the album comes full circle with She Looked Like Me and the Ballad of Madamika, with the latter being a more upbeat take on the opening track, is nothing short of magical. I really couldn't tell you my favorite song off of this album. It will go from Image to Death and Romance to Vampire in the Corner and many more. When the fucking interludes slap, that's when you know you got one of the best albums this year. This is definitely my favorite album of the decade so far. And that's it for my favorite albums of 2024. I know I left out some other great stuff this year, but that's because this year was peak for music. I might make this a yearly series if I feel like it. Maybe.